Everyone, I want to make sure that we stay on task. So I will go ahead and start. And if you come back or you need a break, feel free to do that. We're going to spend the next hour in this breakout group. And again, my name is Carly Willis. I'm in Tallahassee, Florida at Florida State University, and Kevin Smith is here with me to assist. And he is also in Tallahassee. And I wanted to just kind of see who all was in our group. So if you want to unmute yourself, turn on your video and just say hi, you can just give us your name and location. Do I have any brave souls that want to go first?
I'll go first.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Nikki Underwood. I'm actually in Moultrie, Georgia, so I'm not too far from Tallahassee. I was actually in Tallahassee yesterday, so.
Great,
and I work
thanks
for Georgia Decal.
Wonderful, thanks for being here, Nikki. Okay, who's next?
I'll go next. I'm Angela Compton, and I am with the South Carolina Department of Education as an early learning specialist.
Perfect, thank you, Angela. Who else do we have?
I'm Jennifer Brown. I'm also from the State Department of Ed in South Carolina, and I'm a big Clemson fan, and Kevin knows that. I pick on him all the time when I see him. And I'm in the Office of Early Learning and Literacy, but I'm a literacy specialist that works with all grades. So I'm a little bit of everywhere.
Wonderful. Thanks for joining us, Jennifer. Who else do we have?
Hi, I'm Mary Durfel. I'm an early literacy consultant in North Carolina. Sorry, my voice is a little crackly today. I think I'm having some allergies. Sorry about that.
Great. Thanks for joining us, Mary. Who else?
Heather Sargent. I'm with the Florida Division of Early Learning and a fellow Knoll. And I live in Tequesta, Florida, but I cover 6 counties in the southeast region of the state.
Wonderful. Thanks for joining us, Heather. Anyone else? I feel like.
Hi, I'm Terry Konzak. I too am with the Division of Early Learning in Florida, and I'm in the middle part of the state down in Bradenton, Florida.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Anyone else?
My name is Carla Sotelo Blanco, and I'm also in the Division of Early Learning for the Department of Education, and I cover South Florida.
Perfect. Great. Thanks for joining us, Carla.
You're welcome.
I do see Sarah Hughes listed, and I believe some people got her name. So if you are a Sarah Hughes, but you're not really Sarah Hughes, if you wanted to rename yourself so we know who's here with us. Anyone else want to introduce themselves before we start?
I'll introduce myself. I'm Amy Reddick, and I'm from the state of Georgia, and I'm an early language and literacy consultant.
Perfect. Thanks for joining us, Amy. Mm-hmm. Did I catch everyone? I don't want to leave anyone out.
Sorry, guys. I just got back. I'm sitting at a conference right now, and they were serving us lunch, and so I ran and got it and came back. I am Lindsay Heritage. I am an elementary literacy consultant as well as dyslexia specialist out of RESA in Augusta, Georgia.
Wonderful. Thanks for joining us, Lindsay. Enjoy your lunch. Okay. Last chance. Okay. So we are going to do exactly what Marcia did for Module 1 in a little bit more condensed version for Module 2 now. And I really want this to be interactive. So if at any point you're like, wait a second, that doesn't make sense, or go over that again, or let me share this fun idea, please feel free to unmute yourself and just share out. But I'm going to provide an overview for Module 2, which is Phonological Awareness, and that includes session 4, 5, and 6. And session 4 and 5 are an hour and a half long. So if you were implementing this on your site, Session 4 and 5, you would need to allocate about an hour and a half. And then session 6 is about an hour. If you want to grab your participant guide for module 2, and you can grab the facilitator guide as well. I'm going to use slides and activities directly from module 2 of the PLC materials. So you'll see and hear some of the exact content that you'll use when you facilitate the PLC sessions with teachers. Since we don't have time to experience the whole module, we kind of cherry picked the best pieces that we're going to engage in and talk through, and I'll describe some of the other activities. For most of the slides, what I'll try to do, is first talk to you facilitator to facilitator and kind of explain what you should know about that slide. And then I'll sort of put on a different hat and I'll pretend to be the facilitator, and you all will be the participants or the teachers. And I'll say exactly what the facilitator would say to teachers if this were an actual PLC session. So we'll kind of bounce back and forth between those two. And then other slides are just informational for you. So let's get started. Okay, can everyone see the participant guide for module 2, that slide? Perfect, thanks Carla, I see you. So this is session 4, and in this session, we're going to discuss what phonological awareness is, when it develops, and why it's important. So this is like the background knowledge part, right? Our first session in each module. So the facilitator would say, thank you for participating in our professional learning community, or PLC on emergent literacy. Easy peasy, done. Okay, now these are the participant activities for module 2, session 4. The table on this slide is also in your facilitator guide to help you prepare for the session. The slide number is in the first column. So you see slide 6, 7, 13, and 25. The page number of the activity from the participant guide is in the middle column. So you see page 38, 8, 9 through 11, 12 through 15. That's in the middle column. And then the final column includes the title of the activity. So there are 4 activities in session 4. Keep in mind that activity 15, the very first one, is on page 38 from the other book, module 1 book, right? Because it was their homework and kind of a recap of what you did to end module 1 session. And so there they had something to do, something to watch, and something to read, kind of like their homework assignment. And then you start session 4, which is a whole new module, by first reflecting on what they already did, right? So just kind of skim the rest of the activities for session 4 in your participant guide, beginning on page 8. I labeled a bunch of pages. But if you'll turn to page 8, you'll see the FAQs, which we had for module 1. So we have those in all of the sessions, right? And so these are frequently asked questions about phonological awareness. And then activity 2, if you turn, you'll see sorting keywords, important keywords that people can kind of get confused with a lot of times: print knowledge, phonemes, phonological awareness, phonemic awareness, all those. And so we have them sorting those words and kind of getting a better understanding of what we're talking about when we use those terms. And then activity 3 is on page 12 through 15. So if you want to turn in your participant guide to page 12, you'll see that that's the reflect, plan, and implement self-study piece, where they're going to do something, watch something, read something, and they'll do that before the next session. And so you really want to encourage participants to do those things as much as possible so that they get the full benefit of all of the information that we have to share with them. Okay, and then we have videos for session 4. So this table on this slide is again included in the facilitator guide. So if you want to grab the facilitator guide, you can turn to, let me see. I think it's the page that I've skipped. Yes, it's on page 1 of the facilitator guide, which is the skinnier book for module 2. And here is where it has all the activities, all the materials you need, and the videos. So everything right there in one page for you to kind of go over to kind of get your head where you need to be. And so it tells you when to show the video in column 1. So slide 6, 17, 19, and 25. And then it also has the title of the activity. And then it has the link to the video, but they are also embedded in the PowerPoints. And then it tells you how long each video will last. And so there are 4 videos for session 4, and you don't watch video 8 during the session. That is one of the homework assignments, right? So hopefully they watched that before coming, and you can just pick up with your kind of discussion about the video and other things that they did for their homework. You'll watch and discuss the other 3 videos here though. Video 1 is the literacy tree, which we watched. Video 2 is the phonological awareness continuum. And video 3 is small groups in action. Okay, so each session includes a slide like this that defines the goals for the session. So the facilitator, if I'm the facilitator now, they would say, during this session, we will dive into the content that you read prior to this session. The goals for session 4 are to understand phonological awareness and why it's important. Another goal is to understand the phonological awareness continuum. So, and you can see again in the top left corner, we have the step 2 with the little target. So we're always keeping track of where we are in our steps as we go through the sessions. Okay, now, what is phonological awareness? This is, again, is a slide that they will see and you'll go over with the teachers. Phonological awareness can be a particularly challenging skill to understand. So we provide lots of explanation and a thorough definition for this concept. So again, facilitator, they would say, phonological awareness is an awareness that spoken language can be broken down into small units. It's an auditory or oral skill, so no print is involved. To teach and practice phonological awareness, children listen, speak, point, and gesture. Okay. Then moving on to units of language. This graphic is included in the Module 2 participant guide on page 2. So if you want to turn to page 2, you will find this same graphic. And as you show this graphic to your participants, you would say, as the facilitator, a unit of language is a sound structure of language like a syllable that can be manipulated. This figure shows that phonological awareness begins with larger units of language and moves towards smaller units of language. So the largest unit is a word like sunshine. A smaller unit of language is a syllable. So for example, picnic has 2 syllables, picnic. Even smaller than a syllable, we have the onset rhyme. So the onset is the initial sound or sounds before the vowel, and the rhyme is the vowel and everything that follows it. So for the word map, the onset is and the rhyme is app. And then there at the bottom, we have our smallest unit of language, which is the phoneme. And the phoneme is an individual sound. So there are 3 phonemes in the word sun. S, n. And understanding all these units will help you make instructional decisions about phonological awareness activities you plan for children. Even though having phonemic awareness is important when learning to read in the conventional sense, preschool children aren't expected to be at the phonemic awareness piece already, right? They're still working on these upper towers or categories, if you will. Okay, so then we have our important P words. This information is from a 1-pager on page 87 of module 2 in the participant guide. So all the way in the back, I was pulling it up this morning and it's almost one of the last pages. It's all the way in the back, but it's super helpful. And when we created this, we sort of envisioned teachers being able to have like a hard copy of this that they could post somewhere in their classroom and constantly be looking at it and referring to it to remember, okay, what is phonological awareness versus phonemic awareness versus print knowledge? There's so many of those P words that sometimes they get all jumbled. So it's just a resource for teachers to print. And in the notes section for this slide, when you present it to the group, we provide additional information about these terms. So there's also information about how some definitions of print knowledge include reading words by sight and environmental print. So for example, when a child recognizes the word bowl because it is written on the cat bowl, or when a child recognizes environmental print, like McDonald's, when he sees the golden arches, which I think every child knows. These are examples of print knowledge as well. So for this slide, when you present these important keywords, the facilitator would say, you know, these words are all related because they're important foundational skills for literacy. And then they go through and they talk a little bit about phonological awareness, phonemic awareness, print knowledge, phonics, and the alphabetic principle. So phonological awareness is the understanding that speech can be broken down into parts, and we can manipulate those parts at the word, syllable, onset rhyme, and finally phoneme levels. Phonemic awareness is the ability to notice, think about, and work with the individual sounds in spoken words. And then, as we learned in module 1, we brought in print knowledge again, which is the knowing the letter names, letter sounds, and concepts of print. It does not include reading words, whereas phonics does. So notice the picture of a child saying a letter name and a letter sound, not using that knowledge to read any words. Then we have phonics, which is using printed letters and letter sound relationships to actually read words, right? So it's also a method for teaching reading by matching printed letters with letter sounds. And we really want to make the point that the difference between print knowledge and phonics is that print knowledge does not include using knowledge of letter sounds to read. So you'll notice that the picture is there to remind us it's a child using the knowledge of letter sounds to read a word that is in print, right? So you can see that for phonics, but not for print knowledge. We don't have a word there. And then finally, we have the alphabetic principle, which is just the overall understanding that there are systematic and predictable relationships between written letters and spoken sounds. So you kind of go through all of those. And again, reference that 1-pager, encourage teachers to post that information so that they can begin to really understand the difference between all of those. Are there any questions on that? Okay, so if you'll turn to page 9, in the participant guide, we're not going to actually do this activity, but we're going to look at it. And it's a follow-up to the important P word slide that we just went over. And what we'll do is we are going to sort the P words. And so the activity looks like this. Your participants should work in pairs or triads, and they're going to read each instructional scenario in the left column. And then they're going to go over here and circle which component of literacy instruction is described in the scenario. So they can start to kind of practice how to differentiate these terms. And then they'll explain why by completing the sentence. This scenario is an example of whichever one they choose, because, and then they have to give you a reason why it's print knowledge or phonics, whichever one. And participants can use the key terms from page 4 as a resource. They can also use that one pager that we just looked at that's at the back of the participant guide. And all of the answers are included in the speaker notes for this slide. So if you are like me and you get nervous and discombobulated as you are presenting, they're all there with you. So the facilitator will present this activity by saying it's important to note that phonics instructional scenarios would typically be too challenging for preschool children and not taught in preschool. They are included in this activity for us to understand the differences among these components of reading and to highlight the importance of emergent literacy skills for learning to read in school later on. Now for this Train the Trainer session, let's all take a moment to read the second instructional scenario and see which component of literacy is described. So it's up here on the slide and also in your book about Miss Smith. Miss Smith begins reading the book Brown Bear, to the children. As she gets to a new page, she says, oh, look, the first letter on this page is a B in brown. Do you see how this first letter is uppercase B? It's an uppercase B because it's the first letter of a sentence. Every sentence begins with an uppercase letter. So you can either unmute yourself or type into the chat which component of literacy is described there. I see some good answers coming in. Yes, very good. It is print knowledge, and it's print knowledge because Miss Smith is talking about and showing uppercase B, which is a letter name. And she's also teaching concepts of print by saying every sentence starts with a capital letter. So she's doing two different things right there in that just short little piece. Okay, moving on from that activity, we're going to talk about why is phonological awareness important. So you'll notice that many slides, speaker notes like this one, include questions to participants, and then the correct or expected answers are included in italics in the speaker notes portion. So here the facilitator, if they're in session with the teachers, would say, it's important to keep in mind that although we are not teaching children to read in the conventional sense in preschool, we are building their emergent literacy skills so that when formal reading instruction begins, they'll have a solid foundation needed to become successful readers. Phonological awareness is one of the precursors to, or part of the foundation of becoming a skilled reader. If phonological awareness is strong, reading is likely to be strong. If phonological awareness is weak, reading is likely to be weak. Children's reading development depends on understanding the alphabetic principle. What is the alphabetic principle? And so that facilitates a discussion, that begins a discussion with your group. What is the alphabetic principle? Then you have a discussion about what that is. Then you continue on and you say, okay, children use phonological awareness to understand phonics once it's introduced. If children can hear 3 sounds in the word sun, then they'll be more likely to be able to sound it out or decode the word sun when they see it in print. And decoding skills support the development of reading fluency, and reading fluency promotes text comprehension. So phonological awareness is also included in many of our state standards because of its importance here. Okay, now we're going to watch one of our videos, and we're going to do this activity as intended. So we're just going to use the thumbs up or thumbs down icon, which is some sort of, it's one of the features somewhere on your Zoom bar. It's in different places every time I look. So you can either do that. Yes, Kevin just modeled it for us. Thank you, Kevin. Or you can just show me a thumbs up. That one's fine too. So let's turn to page 4 in our participant guide. We always like, before we show a video, to have a purpose so that the teachers are going into the video looking for something specific. And this is going to be, you'll see on page 4, the phonological awareness continuum down at the bottom. And this video is about the phonological awareness continuum. So the animation describes the 4 levels and how children move through those levels. And ideally, participants would have already read about the 4 levels in their self-study reading. So they come having a little bit of background information. And again, the levels are word, syllable, onset rhyme, and phoneme. So now we're going to watch the video, and I want you to notice how phonological awareness begins with those larger units and moves towards the smaller units. And hopefully this will work for me.
Phonological awareness is the understanding that speech can be broken down into parts or units of sound and the ability to manipulate those parts. Phonological awareness is an overarching term that is used to explain attention to and manipulation of the sound structure of language. Phonological awareness encompasses several levels. These levels are the word level, the syllable level, the onset rhyme level, and the phoneme level. The arrow across the bottom represents children's development of phonological awareness. The levels can be thought of as a continuum of learning. The levels of phonological awareness overlap in terms of when children acquire the skills at each level. This means that phonological awareness is not sequential, where children must master one level before moving to the next level. This idea is represented by the arrows overlapping on the phonological awareness continuum. Children may reach multiple levels of phonological awareness at the same time. This means that a child could be developing phonological awareness at the word level and the syllable level at the same time. Or it might mean that a child is developing phonological awareness at the syllable level and onset rhyme level at the same time, or any other combination. Picture cards and puzzles are often used in phonological awareness instruction and practice. At the word level, instruction and practice often involves manipulating individual words within compound words. For example, I'll say a word one part at a time. You put the parts together and say the whole word. Foot. Ball. What word? The child puts the 2 pieces of the puzzle together and says football. At the syllable level, instruction and practice involves blending, counting, deleting, and segmenting parts of multisyllabic words or words with more than one syllable. For example, this is a pencil. Tell me each part you hear in pencil. The child responds, pen-sol. The onset rhyme level is a transitional level between phonological awareness and phonemic awareness. This level requires children to be able to hear and manipulate the onset and rhyme of a word. The onset is the part of the syllable that comes before the vowel, and the rhyme is the vowel and everything after it. So, the onset of sun is s, and the rhyme is un. To demonstrate phonological awareness at the onset rhyme level, children can match rhyme picture cards to corresponding rhyme pictures. The phoneme level may be the most difficult level of phonological awareness, and it is not expected to be well developed in preschool. The phoneme level is called phonemic awareness and involves manipulating individual sounds or phonemes in words. For example, tell me each sound you hear in the word toe. The child responds, t-o. There are important guidelines to keep in mind when teaching phonological awareness. Children will enter preschool with varying developmental levels of phonological awareness, so it is important to determine where they are on the continuum. Instruction may not necessarily start at the beginning of the phonological awareness continuum for all children. Remember that the entire continuum does not need to be taught in preschool. You might teach different levels of the continuum to different groups of children. Growth is key when it comes to the levels of phonological awareness continuum. So, no matter where the child starts, it is important that there is an adequate amount of movement across the preschool years. To be most effective, phonological awareness instruction needs to be explicit and primarily delivered in small groups.
Okay, sorry about that pause for a second. I thought I could multitask, but I can't when I'm showing the video. In the facilitator guide, I just wanted to point this out. In the facilitator guide, there is every slide that you will do as the facilitator and the speaker notes there. So if you were to turn in the facilitator guide to page 13, you would see slide 19, which talks about this phonological awareness continuum and tells you how to go about showing the video and then what the answers are to the questions I'm about to ask you. But for the sake of time, we're just going to do one. And then the participants are looking at the same phonological awareness continuum, but they don't have the speaker notes. They don't have the answers, right? Okay, so thumbs up or thumbs down. Phonological awareness is an overarching term used to explain several levels of the sound structure of language. Yes. Excellent. Yes, thumbs up. That's right. There are 4 levels on the phonological awareness continuum: word, syllable, onset, rhyme, phoneme. Okay, great. Thank y'all. Now we will go here to collaborate and practice. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. If you meet face-to-face, and there were some comments in the chat box when we were whole group about, okay, what if we can't meet face-to-face yet? Can we do this virtually? Absolutely. It's just going to take a little adaptation here. If you meet face-to-face, participants are going to walk to different places in the room for this activity, and the directions are in the speaker notes. For our purposes, we've turned it into a virtual activity so you can see it here. But the objective is the same, right? It's for teachers to understand the 4 levels. So we'll only do 4 items, but there are 8 in the PLC materials. So I'll ask you to complete a phonological awareness task, and you'll respond verbally. So just unmute yourself and just shout it out. Then I'll ask which level of phonological awareness the task represents. So you'll respond with word level, syllable level, onset rhyme, or phoneme. So I'm going to say a word in 2 parts. Hold on, I gotta get myself situated here. I'm going to say a word in 2 parts, and you will put the 2 parts together. So we have dog, house. What word? Doghouse. Doghouse. Yes, perfect. good job putting dog and house together to make doghouse. Which level does this represent on the continuum?
Syllable.
Word.
Word.
Yeah, because dog and house are words in and of themselves, then that would be at the word level. Okay, now I'm going to say each sound in a word, and you tell me the word. What word?
Sun.
Sun, yes, excellent. And which level does this task represent?
Phoneme.
Phoneme level, very good, because I said each phoneme or individual sound in the word. It is the phoneme level. Okay, what is this a picture of?
Hamburger.
Hamburger. Okay, hop or tap or clap as you say each part you hear in hamburger. So
Hamburger.
very good. Great job of saying and hopping or clapping each part in hamburger. Which level are we here?
Syllable.
Here we've got the syllable, yes. When practicing phonological awareness at the syllable level, it is important to note that oral syllabication and written are not always the same, right? So sometimes we say the word in syllables differently than if we were to write it out and look it up in the dictionary. So you want to be careful of that. In some cases, there might be multiple or several acceptable ways of breaking the word up. So be sure to just be consistent. So if you break it up one way, one day, make sure you continue to do it that way with the children. And then our last piece is, do these words rhyme? Box, box.
Yes.
Yes. Box and box rhyme because they sound the same in the middle and at the end. So which level are we here?
Rhyme.
The onset rhyme level, absolutely. Great job. Okay, so those are the highlights for session 4 of module 2. The other 2 sessions that we're gonna look at go a little bit faster. This was more of the background and overview. Okay, so here are a few highlights from session 5. Session 5 focuses on the levels of phonological awareness and features of effective phonological awareness instruction. And so the facilitator is going to say, oh, welcome everyone, welcome back. Thanks for continuing to participate. Thanks for doing your self-study reading. And we're going to spend the next 90 minutes focusing on module 2, session 5. That's what the facilitator would say. Here are the participant activities for module 2, session 5, and this is in the facilitator guide at the beginning there. These are the 5 activities for this session. Keep in mind that activity 3 is on pages 12 through 15 from session 4. So that first activity is homework from the last session. And it's do, watch, and read. Those are the homework assignments that we give them. So just skim through the rest of the activities. You can turn to them in the participant guide beginning on page 26, and you'll see exactly what the participants will see. Starting with the video viewing guide or the levels of phonological awareness, and you can kind of flip through and look through all of those. Activity 4 is the video viewing guide. Activity 5 is the phonological awareness continuum that we've seen. Activity 6 is role playing, explicitly teaching phonological awareness in small groups, because we're really putting an emphasis on small group explicit instruction, particularly for these phonological awareness skills. It's very important. And then activity 7 is the homework assignment, where we reflect on what we've done and then we plan and implement it. So we give them a do, watch, and read couple tasks in between our sessions. And remember, your sessions might be a month apart, they might be a week apart. It really all depends on your context and how your implementation plan is going. And then we have a bunch of videos for this session 5. We have 6 videos here. And again, this is just to kind of get your mind straight. You can watch the videos so that you remember what we're talking about and what you're going to show the participants. You don't watch video 3 because that's a part of the homework, but you're going to watch and discuss the other videos. The one about the phonological awareness continuum, we're really trying to make an impression with that. Then we're going to give them a word level, syllable level, onset rhyme level, and phoneme level sample lesson to watch. And those are the other 4 videos. Okay, so if you will turn in your participant guide to page 26 and 27, we've got this activity, we've got our purple bar, and we've got the levels of phonological awareness. The goals for this activity are to understand those 4 levels and to really identify ways that we can scaffold phonological awareness instruction, because we really want to differentiate it for all of the children, right? Meet them where they are and take them a bit farther. So there are a total of 4 classroom videos, 1 at each level. Activity 4 includes questions specific to each video. Your participants are going to answer the guiding questions as they view each video. So you can see there's the word level, the syllable level, you turn the page and you have the other levels. Each video pauses for a few seconds in 1 or 2 places for the participants to kind of jot down, how am I going to scaffold the children in this particular instance at this point in the lesson? And we're going to do this activity for the syllable lesson. So if you'll locate it at the bottom of page 26, as we watch the video, feel free to make notes either in the book, or if you don't want to mess it up like I tend to sometimes do, I want to keep it all fresh and clean, you can take notes on a different sheet of paper. And we're just going to watch the video and then record our reflections during and after. Okay.
This?
Dog.
Dog. All right, watch me. Dog.
1.
There's 1 syllable because that's all you hear. Can you practice that with me? Let me see you do
Dog.
it with me. Ready?
Dog.
And you have to show me your finger. 1. Good job. All right, let's look at this one.
Lion.
So, it's lion. Are you ready? We're going to do lion. Ready? Oh, wait. We're going to do lion. Ready? Lion.
2.
There are 2 syllables in lion. So lion, when we say it, can you just say lion? Lion. But when we want to know how many syllables, we tap the table. You ready? Let's do it again. Lion.
2.
All right, so now we're going to go to this one. What is this?
Octopus.
That's the octopus. Okay, let's say just the word. Let's not say the syllables. Let's just say the word. Octopus.
Octopus.
Okay.
Octopus.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
So I'm going to tap the table so you watch. Octopus. How many syllables?
3.
It has 3. Can you do that with me?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Octopus.
There's 3. What is this?
Pretzel.
Pretzel. Okay, pretzel. Everybody just say pretzel.
Pretzel.
Okay, so we're going to see how many syllables are in pretzel. Are you ready? You have your fingers down on the table. Ready? I'm going to put this right here so I can have my fingers ready. Pretzel.
2.
How many? 2. Okay, so now I'm going to need a little bit of help. Is it going in dog?
No.
Is it going in lion?
Yes.
Because why? Who can tell me?
Because Because it has two.
It has two
Syllables.
syllables. It does. So you can let the lion eat the pretzel.
Yum, yum,
Yum, yum, yum. Let me see. Oh, look at that.
Milk.
What is that?
Milk.
It's milk.
Cow milk.
Is it cow milk?
Yeah.
Because that's how cow milk comes, right? All right, sit down, look at me. Are you ready?
Yes.
I'm going to tap it. Ready? Milk.
Wow.
One. Oh, Catalina, let's let somebody else have a turn. Okay, we'll let Julius have a turn. Julius, where do you think it's going to go? I'm going to ask you, is it going to go octopus?
No.
No. Is it going to go dog?
Yeah.
Why?
Because of that one.
It has one
Syllable.
syllable. That's right. Can you put it in there? So the dog's going to drink some milk. Can you put it in? Good job. We're going to let the person that gets the card do the talking. But guess what? This time, I'm going to try this because I think you guys can do this. I'm not going to count out these. I'll help you count this out, but I'm going to see if you can put it in the right basket all by yourself. You think you can do it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think I can do it. I think I can do it.
Oh, I like that. That's a story we read the other day, isn't it? Okay, so we're going to let me see. Let's let Chase go first. Chase?
Yes, let's see. He gets the first
Which
one.
one? Oh, you want that one?
Let me
Oh,
go.
you got two, so give me one back.
You got bread.
All right, put it down. Oh,
Bread.
we're going to let Chase do it. Put it down, Chase. Okay, let's do it together. Just Chase and me, okay? You ready? Let's tap it. Bread.
One.
Okay. What basket is it going in?
The dog.
Yes, good job. Can you put it in there? Why is it going in the dog?
Because why?
This is Chase's turn.
Because it has one syllable.
It has one syllable. Good job. I love it. I love it. All right, Catalina.
I got banana.
All right, put it down. Can you tap it out all by yourself? Let me see.
Banana. Two.
So here's one of those pause points, right, that we mentioned that will be built into the videos.
Banana. Three.
And another pause point for them to kind of get their thoughts down.
Where's it going?
Squid.
Squid. Octopus.
Octopus.
Listen to this. Squid. How many does squid have?
One.
But how many does octopus have?
Three.
Okay, so hopefully you had a few minutes to write down some notes. We're just going to go over really quickly. When the child said there were two syllables in banana, how did the teacher help her or scaffold her instruction?
She tapped on the table.
She did. She tapped it out with her, right? And so you can clap, but sometimes clapping makes it hard to hear all of the sounds. So sometimes we like to do something a little less big. And so she tapped the syllables with her. She asked her to try again. So absolutely. Did you hear any other scaffolding that the teacher did during the lesson that helped the children better understand what they were working on? The teacher used encouraging and specific words when providing feedback. Specific praise and wording is so important. And then Lindsay shared, you can put their hand under their chin and count how many times their chin touches the back of their hand. Yes, I have seen that used before, and that's a really neat technique to try. Okay. Anything else on that video before we move on? Okay. And then we have the phonological awareness continuum. And I'm trying to kind of breeze through this a little bit. For the sake of time, I wanted to be able to make sure we got through everything. So this is another activity that we do on page 28 where we give scenarios. And you can see that we have the phonological awareness continuum, and then we have 4 children here. And we have a scenario about for each of the children. And you can actually cut these out and place them on wherever they are in the continuum as you listen to their scenarios, or you can just write or circle. But that was kind of a little interactive way to help them understand how to place children and figure out where they are in the continuum. And let me just skip through Kaylee's instructional scenario to make sure we get through everything. Basically, we read the scenario and then have to place her on the continuum. And she was actually at the syllable level. And then we can figure out where to go next in our instruction. And so in the scenario, she was blending and segmenting, so joining the syllables together and breaking them apart. And gives you an example of that. And then her next task, since she was successful with blending and segmenting of syllables, her next step would be deletion. So say spider without spy, and she has to say the dir, right? Would be the next step to go. And then for activity 6, it's on page 33 in the participant guide. And it takes about 20 minutes. We're not doing that. But you can find your materials in the reproducible materials section at the back of the participant guide. And you'd want participants to work in triads. And they're going to have a script that they can use and role play explicitly teaching phonological awareness in small groups. Okay, we've got 5 minutes left. And so that is the end of session 5. Then we move into session 6, and that is covering phonological awareness in action. So we talk about considerations for English learner students, students with disabilities, and then we have a bunch of additional resources for everyone to utilize. And at this point, we have 5 activities. Remember, we've always got that reflect one from the previous session. And you can look on page 47 for the list of all these activities where these start. Activity 8 is another video where we watch phonological awareness throughout the day. Activity 9 is scaffolding opportunities. And then since this is the last session in the whole module of phonological awareness, we return to activity 1, where we're going to write down anything that we've learned, questions that have been answered. Remember, we wrote our questions at the beginning. We're coming back to that so that we can go full circle there. And then we have our activities where we reflect, do, watch, and read for our next session. We have our videos, but before we get taken back, I wanted to see if anyone had any questions or comments before we get sent back to whole group. Sorry, I went speedy quick through the last piece.
Carly, I have one. I don't have my facilitator guide with me. I only have the participant guide. And so are all of what you're saying in the facilitator guide? I can just use that one as I'm teaching?
Yes. So if you'll look, you'll see the slide, and it tells you some notes, allow 5 minutes for this activity, what the objective is, what you need to do, and then it tells you what to say, and then it gives you a little place to make notes as you're kind of reading through it.
Okay, the PLC times for my teachers are 45 to 50 minutes. So I know most of these are 90 minutes. And I saw you just pick up wherever you stopped last time. Will I be able to cover everything in a year if it's just 45-minute increments?
How many times do you meet? Like, how often do you meet?
Oh, good question. I have the opportunity of once a week.
Oh, then I would say for sure, yes.
Okay.
Because there's 12 sessions. And so if we doubled that, it would be 24 sessions.
Okay.
And so if you have 45 minutes, that's, you know, in 2 meetings, you would get through 1 session, right?
Right.
And so it would take about 24 weeks.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll just follow up by Carly and I, and many of you have done a lot of train the trainers. This is so explicitly laid out. And I'm glad you mentioned the question, Lindsay, about it really can be scripted. If you're working with someone who doesn't have this background, it can be really scripted for you to work in training others if you want to. So that's the good news, is that I feel really confident going out and supporting a train the trainer around this because it's so explicit and the directions are so clear.
And that's what we're hoping, is that you all will get a group of facilitators that you can kind of walk through this with, just like we've done with you today, and have them go and do it if it's school-based or, you know, in a specific area, but be able to do it with a lot of teachers. We really want as many teachers to have access as possible. And are there any other questions? I'm just kind of, as I'm going through these.
Thank you, Carly. This was great.
Yes, absolutely. 15 seconds. Any last minute comments? Okay, well, I'll see you back in whole group. Thank you, everyone.